Hello, my dark flowers, Lilith here. Tonight I have a story about a man who followed a scent he could never name and what he found at the end of that trail. His name was Juan Casaverde. Not a sentimental man, just an ordinary man with a past full of casual encounters and confused memories of which women mattered and which were simply distractions. Rosa was one of them. One of the special ones, he thought, but easily relegated to the category of the disposable. And yet, her perfume haunted him. It was so captivating that the smoke from his own cigarette began to disgust him. He threw the cigarette away without thinking and stood still in that park at dusk, trying to trace the direction of that distinctive aroma. The natural light was fading, replaced by the cold glow of street lamps. He wandered deeper into the darkness, following the scent, but it slipped away from him like a whisper, becoming almost imperceptible, soon just a memory. He decided to return to his apartment. Just a few blocks. He could see the white buildings shining in the twilight. In the center of the park, there were benches, trash cans, dog excrement, and a person lying on their back in a fetal position, hugging their knees against the cold, probably a homeless person or a drunk. But that is not what Juan saw. He saw a woman with long, curly brown hair, wearing blue jeans and a thick gray, white, and black wool coat. She was resting on a bed of pastel sheets, completely absorbed by a green curtain in front of her. They had decided together. She had suggested it, and Juan felt reborn because Rosa had guessed his thoughts. So he took her hand and kindly led her to the clinic, as any responsible and loving man would. He waited for the procedure to end, saw her emerge weak and in pain, gently opened the taxi door for her, and left her in her bed. But in reality, he was just a man in bulky clothing and curly hair. A common gray wool hat covered his head. He checked his watch. Almost 8. No one was around. Not even the doorman. Just rows of parked cars and street lamps. Only the meowing of cats kept him company, though he could not see them. They seemed to be watching him, communicating among themselves. He reached the elevator. The doors opened. A woman was inside, coming from the basement, he supposed. She immediately took out her phone and began playing with her hair. Juan was used to being surrounded by women in their 40s who still believed themselves attractive and desirable despite the crow's feet and the dyed hair hiding the gray. They waited for a man to break the ice and revive the days when they were young. Juan ignored her. She became angry and looked away. At the 4th floor, he got off. The elevator continued up. His apartment was bathed in a bluish light, like walking into a refrigerator. He touched the light switch, but the living room remained dark. However, a light from the window illuminated a naked woman with long brown hair sitting on the sofa, Rosa. Her hands were clasped over her knees, hands full of blackened veins beneath pale, cadaverous skin that exhaled a faint vapor growing ever more intense, her stomach convulsed. Inside her, a living entity kept chewing, stretching her skin like snakes swimming in a thick surface without being able to escape. Only the feast was perceptible, the cracking of bones, the stretching of organs, intestines, liver, even the heart. Something moved beneath her skin, a curve that plunged deeper into that body, violently twisting the ribcage. Then it descended and began desperately tearing its way out. First a thin line appeared, then 2 tiny hands emerged, gripping the edges, creating an opening. A black slime with green and pink tones fell to the floor. The stench was so nauseating that Juan fell to his knees and vomited immediately. He panicked, not because of what he was seeing, but from the fear of fainting. He had no chance to flee. His body was numb from the cold and the pestilence. Rosa's stomach convulsed further. That monstrosity needed to break through. Its head emerged, covered in black, warty veins. It used its feet as leverage to burst everything open. Pieces of intestines and other organs oozed like jam, exuding an even more unbearable stench before falling heavily to the floor. The creature crawled toward its father, who could not move. Rosa was oblivious to all of this. Her face was no longer human, just a cursed statue from an infernal workshop. The only living things were her eyes, which wept ceaselessly. Her pupils trembled, trying to escape their sockets. A flood of images, memories, and thoughts swirled inside her irises. Her entire body was now a prison from which nothing could escape. Still, a few tears rolled down her cheeks. Many had already fallen. And although she understood that tears would be useless in her appointment with hell, at least, Lilith whispers, at least she would not be alone. Sleep with the lights on, my loves. Lilith knows where you live.